I was once afraid. We all start life with fear, and it kind of evolves with us as we move forward in our lives. Once basic fears of being hungry, being afraid, being frustrated become deeper forms of these fears we feel when we are but an infant. Yet the nature is the same. The fear is still a desire, a want that's not being satisfied, or an affirmation that we don't feel but we wish we did. Release fear. I once felt alone. Loneliness is connected to fear, but is a little bit different. When it comes to one's feeling of loneliness, it narrows down to the idea that not only is there no one to help us, but there is no one like us. But in truth, most people are like us. We are not as isolated as we think. We are a little bit different and unique, yes, but we all have the similar pain of feeling alone. The pain we all must relinquish. Envy. This is something that occurs when we compare ourselves to others, when we think of others as being better off than us. It is partial hell in this realm to compare ourselves to others who are of different circumstances. Even if we think of others as being in similar circumstances, our circumstances are unique, but the main thing is compare yourself to where you were. Compare yourself to an ongoing system of progress that you yourself live in this world. Move forward in your own path. Do not think that other people's paths are yours. While we all walk on paths that are side by side, to compare is to not really understand yourself. To focus on the differences between you and others, and not how you have progressed. That is how you let go of envy. Comparing yourself not to others, but to the progress you are making relative to where you were. That is why we must release envy. I was once filled with hatred. Hate comes with frustration at a situation or with someone who is not doing what we want them to do. It can take many forms. A lot of the time, anybody who is acting different than what we deem our group must do, or the value of our group's virtues, anyone who is different, we get filled with hatred because of that frustration. And because it is easier to hate than to accept that everybody has their own path in life. Everyone has their own way of dealing with the world. And just because somebody does something that is not congruous with what we want them to do, that does not mean we need hate them. And even if somebody does something cruel to someone else, it is better to understand why they did it. And to understand that if we learn from what they did incorrectly, then we need not do it. Hatred is one of the internal sins against our fellow man. We can prosecute, we can fight, we can even kill our fellow man, but hate is not necessary. It exists because of misunderstanding. It exists from an inability to see things as they are. Thus, we must release hatred. I once could not see beauty. Everything is as it must be. Beauty is understanding that while it may not be perfect, while there may be pain, that the process is moving towards not only unification but peace for everyone. The process of life is moving towards a freedom from suffering, freedom from pain, and that all pains and suffering that exists right now are but temporary attributes of a humanity that can and will improve. Beauty is understanding the process. Beauty is accepting the process. Seeing beauty allows oneself to see life as something that is ultimately beneficial, something that is moving in a direction that is positive, even with all the pain and suffering we see and all the waste of life. Everything is learning. Everything is learning to be. So we must see beauty and relinquish the idea that beauty does not exist. I once had no idea of my worth. Every single human being is just as valuable as every other human being. Just because we find ourselves in a situation where even if others do not find worth in us, or we feel that they don't, or we don't find worth in ourselves, understand that we have the same potential, the same ability to understand ourselves to greater degrees. And with understanding ourselves, we come to realize the potential of humanity in general. And with the potential of humanity comes the worth of every single individual, revealed through an understanding of our individual worth. The individual and the united and everyone else has the same potential that we can exploit to the best of our abilities while we live. So we must relinquish the feeling of worthlessness and understand our own worth. Sometimes I still feel these things. It's natural. It's human to feel all of these things. We mustn't think that just because we feel these things, that they are our permanent state. We can and will become more. These feelings are based on temporary circumstances with a temporary emotion and a temporary understanding. Sometimes we will still feel these things. But let them go. But they no longer linger. For me, all of these emotions, all of these feelings of negative, not only emotions, but understanding, they no longer linger for me. And I'm happy to have reached a state where they do not rule my life any longer. When I do feel them, they're not for very long. I've worked to this state of being. I am proud of it. And we can all reach a stage of consciousness where all of these negative feelings no longer linger. We must release ourselves. mead of inspiration, sweet, golden pure. And I move forward with contentment. Have hope, my brothers and sisters, for you can as well. I cast these hopes out into the universe for the benefit of all. We are on this journey together. We will conquer our lesser natures together.